Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name's Charles McGilvray. As always, I'm joined by Jess Keppel and Simon Stacey. This is a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints. How are you both doing?
I'm alright.
Yeah, all good, I suppose.
Yeah, we're going to have to get used to this sort of losing malarkey again, aren't we, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we just skip to the preview of next week?
Right, yeah, no, I think there's a lot to cover. I mean, to be fair, I don't think there is an awful lot to cover, but let's see what you both think. Jess, what did you think of the game?
I don't know how to say it nicely. It was complete crap. I mean, it just it just was. I don't. It's like you said. It's hard to even think about where to start with debriefing it because it was just. I don't know what it was. We looked nothing like ourselves. It was bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the week I always dread, especially when we've had so many boys, including the A's away. So many lads away. They get trained in a totally different type of rugby. It's not like they forget, but then when they all come back together, they just seem to not know what the heck they're doing. And it was we were all massively overconfident that we'd beat Gloucester easily. Good 10 points, 12 points, whatever it was, the average. And yeah, they literally just didn't. It wasn't that looked like Saints of 5-6 years ago where they didn't, no plan, no idea. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Then Gloucester were at it, to be fair. The first half, they were absolutely at it. But yeah, I can't really explain it. They just a bad office, really, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that's the right way of saying it. It was a bad day in the office. I mean, it was very much a case of the game was, especially the first half, full of bad decision making to start with. Pulling the trigger on passes that just weren't on. Making good carries, making breaks, and then forcing it rather than setting up and going again when it wasn't on. Overplaying, and then it was a case of losing the physical battle. And then it was a case of just poor skill execution. We all know how talented this group of players are. But you wouldn't have thought so after that performance. It was really, really poor. And it was both sides of the ball. They made bad calls in defence. And they also, they made there's just as many bad calls when we had the ball in attack. It was just not the Saints that we're used to. I do feel that with this side, when they're on form and they're flying and they're looking really good, they've got something about them where they just find a way to win. Furbank being the key example of that, and I think Finn is a big part of it as well, but he obviously went off. But they just find this way to win. They've got this confidence, this determination, this understanding of how to grab momentum and win games. But there's also a case of, maybe amongst the forwards more so, of there is a time when sometimes they're just not psychologically on it. And it was like, we lost that forward battle, and it's like it seems like they just weren't. It's not they weren't fired up. I know they would have wanted to win or whatever, but they were turned up to 8, and you can't turn up to 8. You've got to turn up to 11 in the Premiership. Every game is hard, and I just don't think we were there. The second half was better, but we gave ourselves way too much to do.
Yeah. We seemed to, but even last year we still had the odd performance like that.
Yeah.
There was literally a couple where just for whatever reason for that one particular week, it just nothing worked. I felt like every tactical decision they made was wrong. Keeping hold of the ball when you should pass, and then passing when you should have probably taken it into contact. Nobody seemed to be able to pass to anyone, which, like you said, is almost like our USP. And we'd spoken the week before, because me and Charles had been to the event about winning the Premiership, and then talking about kind of the Saints DNA and playing the Saints way. I don't know who told them to play like that at the weekend, but it was absolutely nothing like what we normally see. I reckon Ollie Sigham didn't get the ball once in the first half, and then you give it to him in the second half, and yes, the tries were chalked off, but at least he tried. He did what we can rely on him to do and make breaks and try and get over the line. But I don't know what we were doing in the first half. It looked really bizarre. It was like the game plan just seemed to be all wrong, and then it obviously wasn't working because it's not really our game plan. The reality is we play our best when we play the Saints way, to put that in quote unquotes, because and yeah, it was really weird. Like I said, we had that good period between kind of 40 and 60 minutes, but we didn't capitalize on it, and so it just fell off again, sort of in the sort of last sort of 10-20 kind of fell off again. So yeah, it was strange. And there's probably lots of things to it. Probably just they just weren't on it that day. Losing Finn so early is always going to be a killer, really. Although that that doesn't negate the fact that nobody could seem to pass or catch. I'm not, but him going off was a huge blow. Hendy going off was a huge blow because the tackles that guy put in before he went off were ridiculous. And so that kind of messed things up. And a lot of people, we talk a lot about how a lot of that back line can play in different positions, and they can, but still when you have to move about so much, there is an effect of that. And so we did have to move some people about, and they had to move a couple of times. Finn went off, there was some reshuffling. Hendy went off, there was some more reshuffling. And sometimes I think maybe they just found it hard to get settled in that first half. I don't really know. But yeah, I'm not going to go so far as to say it's concerning, because we've talked already about how this season, in reality, and I don't know what they think, behind closed doors, in reality, a title defence was probably never really on the card. So I'm not sure I'm necessarily overly concerned that it's indicative of anything long term. But yeah, there's still work to do, especially now that we're heading into Europe with some big games coming up.
Your problem, man, you mentioned it there, though. I was going to say it's Finn. They would have played all week with Finn at 10. I'm not saying Ferbs is a world class at 10. You saw the little chip grubber through and try he scored himself. But you literally are working your 10, and you've worked all your routes and all your runs through your 10, and he goes off in 2 minutes. That's totally negates any game plan. I know Ferbs can step up, but that would have. And then, like you said, Hendy was our best player on the pitch by a mile. That's hard to say because most of them were poor, but he was all over the place. But yeah, losing Finn. I'm not saying we would have won, but losing that man that early totally messed up any ideas of us what we were doing. I think
it also changes your shape, doesn't it? Because
exactly.
Having Furbank at the back gives you that second ball player. That second distributor who can step in either side or out the back, etc. Whereas when Finn goes 10, Hendy goes to 15, etc. Or with Ram there as well. It's a different player. They're a strike runner rather than a ball player. So it alters the shape a bit as well, and what people are good at, etc. Furbank from the back is just a force of nature. That is his position by far, I think, and he's phenomenal there. Of course, he can play in at 10 and do it the job, but you're sort of then missing him doing what he's best at. He's our captain by a long way, because I think he is that player who's got that special thing that can drag the team forward. But I think he does it best from fullback. It's interesting you said about last season. There were moments in time when we did have off moments, mental lapses or whatever. And like in this game, in the first half, we did that last year. There was plenty of games where first half we just didn't come out blocks and we were slow. But the quality within the team and the momentum that we had and the way things sort of played out, we managed to drag it and get wins. I sort of thought throughout that game that was probably going to happen again. I did think that we had opportunities and we just needed one of them to stick, But we just the sort of tweak and less quality this year, I think, made a big difference. How many line outs went astray when we got down their half. We got into their territory. Our game plan, our best attacking sets are off line outs around the 22. Our strike plays from there are probably the best in the league, but you've got to win the ball first. And so how many times did we get to that position where, right, we can score off this, off first phase, off second phase, put momentum on, put pressure on them, but we didn't do that first instance, right? And that's the difference of not having a Matavesi off the bench.
You did mention captain. I'm not dissing his captaincy because obviously Ferbs was the right thing. but I don't know if you listened to the ref link, and I watched it back at the highlights later. Lewis Ludlow was in the ref's ear constant. He was in his ear constantly, badgering him every ruck, everything. I still think, I'm not judging Ferbs because he is class, but I still think you need a forward as a captain because he's never going to come back, even at 10. He wasn't saying, "Oh, ref, what about this? What about this?" If you look, Gloucester were over the top. Don't get me wrong. That kind of tarnished their victory for me. They were like shouting, jeering every time, but he was mouthing every single ruck, every line out, every scrum. He was in the ref's ear, sir, can you tell me this? Can you tell me this? And I think not having that kind of doesn't help you because you're not getting the decisions or why the ref's done this or done that, and it does show. Because him being at the back, I'm not, like I said, his record as captain was amazing, but he's just not in the ref's ear enough, in my opinion.
I think that's a fair point. There's a difference between someone who's driving the energy within the side, and then someone who's having that relationship and that the sort of contact with the referee. I mean, I don't want to go into talking about the referee because
no, we won't do that. We won't do that.
Frankly, there isn't a single good referee on the planet, so to expect one to be good, you're never going to expect one, right? So
give her a due. I think Sarah Cox is a pretty decent ref.
Yeah, there's always going to be referees who get decisions right around. And there's also, I will make a big point of when you're watching a game neutrally, you often go, "Oh, the referee was all right." When you're looking at it with rose tinted glasses,
yeah,
it's a completely different thing. But
I mean, I do think generally though, I will say, like, I still think there are good refs, but I still think that the quality and the level of them is not where it was when we had, JP Doyle and Wayne Barnes and some of the people that were excellent. We still haven't. Yeah, I don't think the reffing's at that kind of standard, like, across the board, and so I think there is a struggle. But yeah, I mean,
I think that's experience, though, isn't it? Because they did.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's not necessarily going to be the case in a couple of years, right? Like, But yeah, it is. It is kind of frustrating when. But I mean, the only thing I can really say in kind of the ref's favour, I suppose, is that listening to the ref link is all of those decisions were made with the agreement of his touch judges and his TMO.
And his TMO.
And so at that point,
Litchfield. Litchfield's try, in my opinion, that was not forward. No, I've watched it back on the telly. It even looks like it goes backwards, but it is what it is.
I think it's very hard to say a pass went forward when it comes out the back of the hand.
They said on the ref link it will come out the hand forwards, but if you watch it on the telly, it came out backwards, bounced, went forwards, but that's from a bounce.
Yeah, I don't think there was enough evidence on the for them to overturn a try, in my view.
No, totally.
Yeah, but then it's
not the reason
you do have No, and what you do have with the referees is the difficulty of the TMO being certain, the ref being certain, and his touch was being certain. At that point, there's no there's no going back on.
We can't blame the ref. We were poor, but the ref was, in my opinion, one of the worst we've had for a while. He's some of his decisions. It was like the typical whoever's putting the ball in the scrum gets the penalty, and it's not the case.
Yeah.
He was dire.
I mean, the scrum's a really good talking point. I was watching the warm up, and you know how big a fan I am of Big Trev, right? Absolute hero. But Manny was absolutely putting it on him in the warm up. He was really putting it on him. Big Trev was struggling. Manny was absolutely looking rock solid, right? And you could see, like, he was having to break his technique. He was flattening out his body just to keep Manny back, right? And so it's sort of one of those ones where whether he wasn't in the right headspace or whether, I don't know, but when we went into the game, he wasn't the force that he's been at points in time. And I also thought, Tom West is a very experienced pro, been around a lot, right? He's got a half decent reputation, etc., etc. But that Fasobon, I'm not sure. I hope I'm getting his name right, but bloody hell, he is a talent in the making. 21 years old, isn't he?
He does need to watch that cockiness though, because you just see him when they won a penalty. He was like doing his Genge thing. He waved at West. He's like, "Oh, bye, go away."
Can we sell a car park and sign him or something? Like,
he's a big lad.
Thing is, we've got like individually we've got good scrum operators, but and I'm sure you said this before, Charles. Maybe like it still is an issue as like a them scrumming as a pack for whatever reason. It just isn't. It's up and down. Like some teams against some, and I know that probably does happen for some people where sometimes you're really good and sometimes maybe not. But we seem to have we're either really good against the side or we're awful. Like there's no middle ground of just we're steady and we're kind of consistent. It's we absolutely destroy it or we get destroyed.
I think my view on that is we are a well coached scrum. Right? Mm-hmm. I think they are very well coached. They all know what they're doing. They're all on the same page. Their technique is spot on, right? And therefore, if you come up against a team that is lighter than you or not to the same level of coaching as you, you're going to look really good against them. You're going to be able to put it on them. When you come up against sheer size and talent that's well coached, like that Gloucester pack, Vapara Ruskin and Fasoben are really, really top draw scrummagers. There's nothing you can do. You can try and take them low, but they're too strong, too technically powerful. They're too good. So, the only way to match them is to match them with size and technique. It's very hard with these teams that are coached as well as they are nowadays to out technique them and do it as a unit because they're just as well coached. I think is it still Woodman there?
Yeah, saying they've got World Cup winner scrumming coach. I mean, it's that tighter World Cup winner.
And then you add in the raw ability of those front row forwards.
Yeah.
And I think they were a bigger pack, and therefore there's only so much you could do. I mean, I've said it before. I don't want to keep harping on about it, but I think we're showing the loss of a unit like Alex Moon. He made our scrum look so much better because of he's just
weight, isn't it? The weight. Yeah. If you've got the weight in the second row, I'm not saying that Coles and Munger are light,
but they are compared to him.
Compared to him, yeah. And then when you look at their back row of the Gloucester, they were big boys. Ludlow and Mercer, they're not little.
Yeah, I mean, I think our back row isn't a light back row.
Not with Gus playing, no, I suppose.
Got Gus, Pearson, and Scott Young, all big lads. I think it's the second row and maybe Tighthead where we lack a bit of weight. And Big Trev is great, like really great. I'm not calling for anything or etc. I'm just saying when you look at Big Trev as a physical specimen versus that Fasoben, there is a difference. And I think Big Trevor's needs the support of a heavier second row like we had last year, and you saw the success of it.
The thing as well is you're talking about is his name Fussabong, isn't it? Is that right?
Fussabong,
Sorry if I'm wrong. But yeah, he's also very tall. So you try to scrum against him, he's obviously it's a lot harder when you're a lot shorter. So yeah, because West isn't not a very tall prop at all, is he really?
No, but that has its benefits. You can try and take, like, you look at Aaron Painter. Aaron Painter's an enormous prop, right, big lad, but he hasn't necessarily got the facilities within his physique to get low and match West. Yeah. So you can scrummage underneath him and put pressure on him, causing him to flatten out, and you get problems. If you go toe to toe with him and he gets his upper body involved in that scrum, you can't go with him, right? But you can take him into horrible places. That Fasoben, he's such a phenomenal athlete, and he's still a young lad, etc. He's got the facility to get low.
It was the way the ref was doing the scrums, though. He kept trying to say to get level. You can't get level when there's a good few inches in height. You can't.
Yeah.
So the ref's doing it. Like, how are you supposed to match the dead straight if he's like about 5 inches taller? It's not going to happen.
The less said about the ref again.
Yeah, good point.
The scrums were ruined by not allowing them to be a contest and then not rewarding the winning team in those, because there were instances where he nullified any contest by making them compete at the same level. The whole point of the scrum is it's supposed to be a technical contest. Yeah. So if we want to scrummage low, you've got to let us do that. And if we scrummage low and we go down, well, that's on us. But if we scrummage low to take them low and they go down, that's on them. And I get it. People want to see the ball played, but scrums are part of the game. So you have got to let them do it, or don't have it. You know,
he wasn't consistent with taking the knee because he pinged us twice for that in a row. Then Lou said did it, and he didn't. He just said, "I'll play on." I was like, "Well, you've just given 2 penalties against us for taking the knee." Yeah, we won't mention the ref.
Yeah,
we're just the name.
Right. Positives.
We didn't get 90 nilled.
Alex Mitchell.
Alex Mitchell was a massive positive.
Alex Mitchell. I mean, he tried his best. Him and Ollie in that kind of second half, they tried their absolute bloody best to pull us back into it as best as possible.
That Ollie finish, the first one of the knock-ons, God above, if he'd managed to hold on to that would have been the greatest finish of all time.
Did you see the angles? The angles from the front on, it looked absolutely fine. But then when they went sideways, it's literally separated by nearly like about 6 inches. It's just
it's like it wasn't even. That's the funny thing. I remember seeing that second angle and I was like, oh, he's like easily dropped it. But from the other angle, you wouldn't have had it. But then you look at it again, there's like such a huge gap, and I was like, what is going on? But and I mean, you know, it's absolutely also not even remotely his, like, obviously if he scored the tries, it would have been a different outcome, but that's not his fault. He's having to jump to avoid, you know, and sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. I think the amount of tries that guy's been scoring, he could probably forgive a couple of, you know, drop ones over the line. But
he did mention, you said about Lichfield, you said, oh, that didn't lose. If we'd scored that try, then we had about 15 minutes to go, we could have won that.
Yeah.
So it cost us the game. I think it did, because we actually were playing then, and they looked a bit tired. Their front row wasn't as strong because they took the others off. I'm not saying we didn't deserve to win. Full kudos to Gloucester. They were the best side. They won the game. They totally outplayed us for 40, 50 minutes. But we could, some of the decisions, it's the bounce of the ball, isn't it, as they say?
Yeah. No, you are right with that. The momentum was with us in the second half. And that's why I thought we're still going to win this. Not even though we hadn't played well, I thought, we'll still win this. But decisions make games, don't they? Moments make games. That was an enormous moment in that fixture.
Yeah.
Had, you know, that gone our way, it was like 10, 15 minutes left with 3-point difference. You'd imagine, you know, the crowd comes into it, etc., etc. But that actually goes the other way, doesn't it? Because it gives them a boost. Say, you know, and it also put the ball down the other end of the pitch.
You heard them every single. This is what really annoys me. I get it, but I hate it. Sarries used to do it. Every single decision, all the players are jeering like they just won the World Cup. The bench were doing it as well, and just for a knock on. I was like, "Are you really that sad? You celebrate knock on like that? It's just start serious, lads. You've won the game. Just."
The mindset is, though, like, you go away to Franklin's Gardens, which is a really loud stadium with a crowd that's fully behind its team. You haven't got many away fans there backing you, so you've got to create the energy. You've got to create the atmosphere for yourself. That's what they're thinking, aren't they?
I mean, I normally I do hate it, and I've said it before. Like, Ben Early's a fantastic player, but I hate it. Every time he does, I hate it. I hate it when he does it for England. I hate it when he does it for Saracens. I'm like, shut up. I just want to shut up in his face. But, like, I can also kind of understand, like you said, there's not that huge amount of Gloucester fans. Franklin's Gardens were at that point, we hadn't lost at home in 13 months. We're the defending champions. Like, you know, I get it. But, yeah.
It was like right near the end, they were like, oh, just knock on. They're like, whoa, it's a knock on. Still, they're all off their seats. They're just like, we're going to get the win. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm a competitive person, but they were over the top, and it kind of ruined their victory for me. Not that I care they won, but it sort of made me think you lot are a bit annoying because they were just cheering everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we would be the same way the other way around. So.
It's also like it's like the Roy Hutchinson kick though at the end, isn't it? Like, and him just missing it. It's just indicative of how the day went.
Exactly. That was literally how the day. I said that. I actually said that. I went, that is exactly what we deserve. Absolutely nothing.
And I can't even blame him for that either, really, because I'm not even sure we deserve the point. It's a very high pressure kick. You know,
he's not
it is what it is, but
yeah. He's not our kicker, is he?
He's not a constant kicker, is he? He's a good quality kicker. But
I mean, he obviously practices repeatedly. Otherwise, they wouldn't have asked him to do it at all. But yeah, he's not He's not doing it in game situations often, is he? So yeah, but it's just I just remember he missed it at the end, and I thought that just sums up the last 2 hours.
I thought the other two players that for me that played looked good, put performances on were Thurbs and Langdon again. I thought Langdon was probably the only forward who really stood up.
I actually saw, it wasn't the official, but I saw the Premiership rugby app on stats. He actually got in the team as the best hooker of the weekend on the losing side. But on winning sides, he wasn't, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because he carried well, he tackled. He was the only real forward I thought that was actually standing up, but physically, I thought otherwise Gloucester really got on top of us. And I mean,
it's like we expect someone like Alex Coles, for example, to have a good game. Like, I don't think he's ever been bad, but it's just I don't know if it's a lack of match time, I would imagine, and things like that, but perhaps that kind of contributed to that. Like I certainly would be interested. Yeah, it'd certainly be interesting to see what it's like this weekend. But there was one other player that you.
Thurbs was.
Oh no, you said Thurbs. Yeah.
But the thing with Coles is a really, really unique forward. He's not necessarily the forward who's going to get you on the front foot, but he's the sort of forward that he sort of turns an inch into a mile because someone finds a loose shoulder and he's on the support run, and then because he's got a bit of pace, he's a big sort of bloke, he makes that into a 10-yard line break rather than being a 2-yard sort of shunt sort of thing. So that's the where Augustus probably wasn't at the races in terms of getting us over the game line. Langdon was trying, but that was probably it. Like we weren't.
Yeah.
Pearson wasn't the force that he has been.
I was going to mention.
He
you always rely on him. He literally. I'm not disrespecting the boy because he's quality. He literally wasn't in that game. He just anything he did.
He stood out for me in particular in terms of not having a good day, and that you could kind of tell that there was a frustration there because he gave away some stupid penalties. You can just tell the whole kind of. I think he's one of those where it's not going his way, he gets frustrated, and then silly penalties kind of come from it, which is understandable. But no, it just
Coles was get the line out for lifting legs, and it's just basic.
Yeah.
Problem is when it's not your day, the negative energy gets in your head, and you try hard.
Yeah.
Just end up making worse decisions, and then you end up just messing it up.
Yeah. And the line out on the set piece as a whole, line out on scrum were poor, and so like I said, so much of our game is built for those strike plays, and it wasn't happening, was it?
No.
But anyway, let's look ahead to the Castres game. Hopefully we can turn around. And it's worth pointing out that this time last year we were in a similar sort of scenario, and it was that away win at Glasgow that really changed the momentum within the squad.
Yeah,
I'm not calling that to happen again. I think we're a mid-table team challenging for top 4 at best, but it could be a free hit, just a bit of confidence, a bit of freedom back in that squad, and who knows what could come of it. So this, and also it might be that we had a really amazing run in Europe last year. It could be that this is the tournament that we go well in this year, and the Premiership takes a backward step this year because they did so well in it, and there seems to be a real love for it in the group.
I've got no doubt there is, but I also worry whenever people are like, let's just throw it all at Europe, because I'm like, we weren't quite on the same level as the kind of top 2 teams last year, and we're even further away this year. So I still have a little bit of panic with everyone like, let's just throw it all at Europe. I'm not saying don't throw it all at. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying like I'm saying we maybe need to stop and be a bit realistic. But yeah, I mean it's a difficult pool, isn't it? I mean, French teams don't typically travel massively well, so this weekend could be good. But then obviously we're away to having to go to South Africa, which has its own issues. Then we're away to a French team, which are hard to beat at home. So it's a really interesting pool table in terms of what that's going to end up looking like.
Yeah, I mean, not to look ahead to it, but the Pretoria trip is just. I mean, it's insanity that it's a thing. Right?
I know.
From a player's point of view, what an occasion! Trip down to Pretoria, go and see a few lions, and in your spare time,
What do you mean?
group
Do you
time
mean
together as
for
a group.
next year or real Lions?
No, I mean real
When we,
life.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, actually, they'll probably do a safari trip or something whilst they're over there. Just go and see a game reserve or something.
The
But
problem
what an
is,
experience that they're not going to get in any. All those lads who, I'm sure they'll go on holidays and stuff like that, but they won't get those experiences. The lads who aren't going on international trips won't get that sort of touring experience. Whereas this is sort of like a mini tour. The trip down to South Africa is for, especially some of the young lads, it's a phenomenal experience for us.
But it's almost like it's hard because it's almost like you're going down there to lose because they're all very strong at home, and you aren't. Most teams that have gone there haven't sent their strongest,
It's
and then
altitude.
that's what I was about to say. You've got
and
to
then
get
it's
the altitude. It's like you're going to need more than a week. There's no way they're going to be able to play.
and then when you flip it around, whenever the South African teams come here, they don't bother sending a full so. It's almost a definitive loss when you go there, and a definitive loss for them when they come here. I feel like their entire existence in this competition is just a waste of everybody's time. I mean, that's obviously a debate for another time, although I seem to think there's quite a lot of consensus anyway that it's a waste of time. They said it's going to be an amazing experience for some of the young lads, like personally, but professionally, it's just going to be like, I don't know. Maybe we'll send Super Strong and we'll turn them over, but I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too much into.
I realise that's still 2 weeks away.
We'll talk about that We'll talk about that next week. But so let's think about Castres. I mean, Castres are a big pack.
I was just looking at them now.
You look at the team that they've got as well, and it's actually, I reckon, some of their better players aren't actually the national French guys. They've got Collier, if you remember him from Queens, hell of a scrummager, hell of a tight head. He should have 50 caps at least for England, but it's crazy how he's not getting in. He wasn't getting in England squads. However, a French team will offer him a fortune to go and play over there. But yeah, that's another thing. But then Nakamura in the second row is an absolute player, isn't he? So
sorry, what French national player? I don't know.
Well, the thing is, I thought they used to be like a team that used to buy loads of won't say foreign, but like Kiwis and but looking at their squad, it is literally flooded with French.
Well, they can't anymore. They've got the rule in France where you have to have a certain.
Try and get around it.
Yeah,
so who from the national team plays for Castres?
Not many. It's their stars are really their imports. Jack Godhue in the centre, really good young Kiwi. Well, no, he's not young anymore. He was a very good young Kiwi. He played a few times for the All Blacks and then came over here.
Right.
Leon Nakawara, the superstar Fijian, second row. Yeah. He played for Glasgow for a long time. Great player.
Yeah.
Then you've got Will Collier as well.
He's 36 though.
Yeah. But they're the players. I would imagine we should be all right against Castres. They're a good side, don't get me wrong, but travelling, as you said, French.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. They just notoriously don't travel well. Like
back in the day, they didn't. They don't do so bad now, but I know what you mean. Yeah, they just don't seem.
I'm not necessarily saying that they're always necessarily going to come over and lose, but you could feel confident that you'd be a travelling French side, and I think that most teams probably still feel that way.
Yeah, and I also think they're quite a known side. They are quite traditional French outfit in the sense that they're a big pack. They'll come a lot of one-out drives, and then it's just a case of containing their talent because they have got a lot of talent. But keeping them shut down and keeping connected is probably going to be the challenge, isn't it? Just making sure that you can front up and physically against them.
Well, they literally used to be our team, didn't they? Like about 10 years ago, we had them every season. We played them. I've been over there a few times. Proper nice little rugby town, and they love their rugby out there. But we'll see who they pick. But I'm not sure.
It should be interesting. And from our point of view, what do we think team wise?
I think after that, go strong because. I
don't think they were ever going to think about not going strong. To be fair, but I think it's
strength of it.
I mean, you've got to go. Yeah, assuming that we're just going to do what we always do and go through literally one by one.
Did Finn pass his HIA though? That's the thing.
Yes,
definitely.
It's probably worth clarifying that. So
he passed the HIA, but he didn't have full vision out of his
Wait.
eye.
His right eye, because I sit behind him, his right eye started to bulge out as he was sat there.
Yeah.
Do it.
And there was an update that was put out by Douse today that said he's all right. There's no structural damage to the eye. The vision is still coming back. So where that is by the weekend, but otherwise there's nothing wrong with the eye structurally. Nothing is doing. It's just it's taking some time to come back. But there's no doesn't seem to be any overall concerns. But obviously, if he still can't see out of that out the weekend, he's not like if he doesn't have almost 100% vision, he's not going to feature. But we can also assume that there's a good chance it will be okay by then.
he did say that they hope he will play, but they're hopeful that he will be available. But
it's your training, isn't it? You need to train when you're 10 at 10. If he can't train all week, do you just drop him in last minute? That's the problem. Do you play further?
That's actually the interesting thing, right? Which goes into the game. You said about how the worst game is the game after the international periods. They've all been space jammed by international coaches, sort of thing.
By Steve Borthwick's boring rugby,
yeah. But it's that thing where, like, Dowse has said it a number of times before about the sort of muscle memory within the group. They've played enough time on the pitch together that they should just be able to drop back in and go. They know what they're doing. They've played with each other enough, etc., etc. But you like you said, it didn't look like that on Saturday, did it? It looked like they weren't. No,
a lot of them played, have they? They haven't played even like Coles and Finns, but they've played minutes. If Coles didn't play any, so like they haven't played for 6 weeks of rugby. That's a long.
Well, it isn't just that. Did Coles? He played a tiny bit, didn't he? Before because he had the injury.
Game, and then he went off. Yeah.
And I don't even think it wasn't a full game, was it? So like his literal minutes are really low. And like I said, like you're right, like there is he's probably right about there is an element of muscle memory to it, but when your body just isn't quite has gotten used to not playing, like that is an obstacle to overcome itself. And Coles didn't quite do that this weekend. He's probably going to be much better this weekend. I've got no real doubts about that. But it was a confusing one with Finn, because the message that made it to commentators, radio, etc. was he's passed the HIA but he's not coming back on, and there was a bit of a confusion, but it was confirmed after that.
Yeah, I thought they said
it was the vision in the eye,
because he didn't come back out in time. But
the TV sort of suggested the concept that they didn't get him back on in time or something, so therefore he failed. But actually, no, he passed the HIA. But he said, I can't see out my eye. So they said, well, there's no chance you're going on then. And that was
exactly, yeah. But from what I gather, from what I gather though, he is. I'm sure Dal said he was training. He was kicking and passing, but you still have to make sure that he can see. Hendy failed the HIA, and so he's doing the return.
He had the half time as well, didn't he? I don't know how that works because he went off. Half time, yeah. No, he didn't.
Yeah, but he failed.
No, he did.
He failed, and he's just going through the return to play protocols. So he might be okay, might not. They literally won't know until.
It's one of those ones where it's probably not even worth the risk, is it?
Well, when you look at poor people like Steve Thompson, this is why these protocols are in the place now. So we understand why. It's just
it's why there was all the kind of understandable uproar with one of the Currys. I want to say it was Tom Curry, but they're basically the same person. Who, yes, he did. It's a weird one because I think Austin made the comment of, well, he passed, so what's everyone complaining about? I said, but there is a world where you can pass your return to play protocol, but it's still not worth the risk when they've had X amount in X amount of time. I was like, two things can be true at one time. Like that was the thing for me. I was like, we were playing Japan, and if he'd gotten a knock in that, like the potential repercussions of that so soon after another one. So it's like two things can be true. He can pass and technically be free to play. People can still question if it's worth it. I mean, obviously he was all right at the end, but
I think you've just got to. I'm fully confident that the people making the decision do have their
100%,
their health at the first form. They will
make, 100%.
would be making a decision, taking a risk. I'm pretty sure of that.
They did say with Finn, because I watched it back on the telly, that they reckon it was his mouth guard because they got those new mouth guards that can take the force. They said it was.
Sometimes it's not the independent doctor. It's just if you get a big enough thwack, I suppose it's something it registers with the. Yeah, and so like I said, I think he was fine in terms of like it was obviously the impact when he hurt his eye. I'm guessing. Yeah, obviously the impact registered, but So yeah, we just got to go off the premise that certain people will be fit. I think they said Kemeny still can't get over the dead leg, so I think he's still not. And someone else, can't remember who it was.
Hunter Hill's got
Hunter Hill still got the back injury, so they're still not sure. And then they still list some of the long termers. So obviously Robbie Smith, Sam Graham, and Berger are still long term.
Yeah.
No timeline on those.
I didn't know about Kemeny because we were mentioned about him playing, didn't we? It was only when I saw it on the field, I was like, oh.
Yeah, because we were mentioning him, but
leg.
then it said he had a dead leg and he can't seem to recover from it at the moment. So, and it's just sort of, it was almost like the thing with Mitchell, wasn't it? Like it's an sort of like an unknown neck injury that obviously is now, righted itself. But yeah, for a while it was like, what's actually happening?
It's one of them, innit? We all want to know what the issue is, but like we've said in the past, Saints are always quiet about it because it is private. You don't go and tell
I think
I do get it, but the fans want to know when they're
playing. I think the only concern people had with Mitchell was that they seemed to intimate that they didn't know what it was either, and that he'd been to specialists and they couldn't. And so sometimes there's a question of, that doesn't sound good. But
I think with Mitchell it was a case of they didn't want to push the surgery route. But there's sort of no guarantee of how long it will take to recover because it's a funny injury. So they're taking the best choice for him, which is not to do any invasive surgery or anything. But
I mean, they said he had a big injection. It was a big injection. They went with an injection, didn't they, over the surgical route, and he seems to be okay. So he was at the weekend.
Definitely look sharp again. So let's go through. At number 1, I'm saying Manny Iogan.
Gotta come on. No offense to Westy. When Manny come on, the scrum totally changed. I know they.
I was wondering, but because I was surprised that there was no Hafar.
Yeah, I suppose it's
as not starting necessarily, but like as a bench option.
But he was a reserve, I think, wasn't he? Because he was warming up with him.
He was warming up.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
They obviously saw something in West in training in the week. They went, right, you get the call and probably give Manny a rest. That
was actually interesting with the warm-up, right? Which is interesting because we've obviously not got Robbie Smith. Havar and Green were the 2 props that were the reserve, travelling reserves, whatever, in case something goes wrong. Nathan Landon was warming up as the other hooker.
Oh, okay.
He'd played for Bedford the night before.
Wasn't Green on the bench?
Pardon?
Green was on the bench, wasn't he?
Yeah, Green was the...
He was the reserve tight end.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. Who was... Okay, I can't remember who it was.
Might be Miller Mills, because he was
Might have been Miller Mills. Even I think he had the week off, but it might have been Miller Mills. But you are right. But but even the point being is Nathan Landon was the third... He played and he'd scored a try for Bedford the day before.
Yeah, fair play.
If London had gone down, had a player who'd gone back-to-back days in competitive rugby.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, it's
I guess.
I knew you just do it when we was a kid, but I didn't think you could do it as a professional.
I don't think there's any rules against it. I'm not sure it's all that healthy.
There's just rules on managing overall minutes. Not fair.
280 minutes in a day.
I would say yeah. I would say the front row still for me, Manny, Curtis, Big Trev.
Yeah.
Even though Trev had, everyone had an off day, but yeah, I still think that's the one that you trust to take you forward still.
I think that's our strongest front row at scrummaging, and I think we're going to be under a lot of pressure. So, they might struggle, etc. But that's the best they've got to put forward, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Second row is a quite interesting call. What do you reckon?
I can't think of his name. What's the Irish guy?
Thornbury. He's gone.
Has he gone? He was on the bench Saturday.
Yeah, he was there, but
he's there, but he's now officially gone. He sent his message on socials saying thanks for everything, and he's off. He's joined Utah Rugby Club. Well,
that's a bit of a shame.
I'm still sticking with Munger and Coles.
Yeah, the only question I think is obviously Timo's. They gave Timo a week off, but he's back in contention.
Yeah, maybe start him then. Maybe.
Yeah,
put him in there.
I'd probably go Munger and Coles with Timo off the bench.
Yeah.
But it's a tight one between the 3 of them.
I'd swap Munger for Timo personally.
Yeah, I could see the value in that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
It's
just,
a big,
like I said,
big,
usually
big
that's what I
French
mean. French, yeah. So maybe
with
just
Georgians in there as
even,
well. Just,
even if it's not necessarily going to make a massive difference in the scrum, I say, just having someone as big as Timo there and also kind of adding his weight defensively. Yeah, perhaps maybe that's the way to go. Try and kind of
Yeah.
quiet them down. I don't know.
I don't know
Yeah.
what the difference in weight is between Timo and
I,
Chunga. To be
I
fair.
don't think there's an enormous amount between
Maybe
the
not.
three of them. I don't
No.
think either of them particularly heavy second rows. But yeah,
I mean,
interesting.
Timo, I don't mean it in like his facts, that's not what I mean. But
Yeah.
Timo looks big. He looks bigger than Munga, but you know.
Yeah, no. Back row.
And he's no, sorry, so Timo is a big defender. You know, he I don't mean like size wise, I mean just like what he brings to that, like kind of the energy and the way that he uses his size. I think he's a ginormous defender, I think. So yeah, if it is a big French team, then yeah, that's probably why I would maybe start him just as a.
Yeah, I think either way, I think
But yeah,
it's interesting. I think probably Coles is the one who's definitely we want to get games on in him to get him back.
yeah, definitely,
I think
definitely.
he's probably the starter, and then it's flip of a coin or decision between the other two.
Hmm.
Moving on to the back row. I mean, I'm probably saying Pearson and Gus both start, and then it's a toss up between Angus Scott Young and Pollock.
I think he'll rotate. Pollock will start.
If it was me, if it was me, I'd go. Um, yeah, I would say Pearson. Yeah, Pearson, Pollock, and then I think. I mean, Gus must be. Is he the only sort of first teammate that we have at the minute? I feel like I've just forgotten who all the eights are.
Yeah, well, Pollock had been playing there, hadn't he? So it's a case
Yeah.
of whether you go with Pollock at 8
I think.
or 7.
I think what you're going to want in Europe, just generally speaking, is someone that is scrappy, because those games can get intense. They can get scrappy. I think Pollock would thrive in that atmosphere. So I think that's probably who I'd start. Be like, you know what, this is a test to see what you can do. Right, it's against a pretty good, pretty big European team. Historically, have been strong. What have you got? What are you made of? So I think I'd go for Pearson, Pollock, Gus personally. But as you said, yeah, there's potentially a toss up of Scott. Look, can't speak today. Scott Young. But I think I bring him off off the bench for me personally with Angus.
Yeah, I think I agree.
I was going to say, just to go back to your lock thing, just to finish up, I just looked him up. Coles is 117 kilos, and Munger and Timo are both 120. So, like you say, there's nothing in it at all.
Yeah, negligible.
So yeah.
No, I didn't think there was. None of them are the 125s like
Yeah.
Moonwa. But yeah. On the back row though, it's one thing to sort of cover off. Obviously, it's announced this week that Gus is off to Ulster next season.
Ulster.
It's a really interesting one, and I don't want we can cover this off at maybe at the end of the season more so, but it's a really interesting one. Obviously, he's going for certain reasons. I imagine it's more time at home, more ability to travel south by going to Ulster, but it does leave a big hole. I know we've got a hole at the moment because of Sam Graham out injured, but
yeah.
Gus is a phenomenal ball carrier, phenomenal at getting over the game line. And losing him in those instances is, bearing in mind I've often called for Graham over Gus, but the value of Gus is the fact that he is a hugely physical ball carrier, and I think you lose him, and you look at the back, they need to either find one or develop one. I'd say.
I would say the worry I had when I first saw it was, are they then going to try and transition Pollock into that role permanently? Is one of my first issues, because I agree with you. I think that's not his best position. And so let's assume that they're not going to do that and they're going to leave him at 7 or whatever it is, 6 or 7.
They have signed the Samoan though, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, I would say that at the moment.
Mapu, is it Mapu?
Yeah. So I mean, I say at the moment their best call is to find one, whilst they continue to develop one. Because I can't think of, there are some there like Ruben Logan, for example. But like, would they be ready to immediately step up next season? That's a big question mark. But at the same time, with no Graham for the foreseeable future, start using them off the bench, start throwing them in there. Like, if you now know that you're going to lose someone. So yeah, I mean, I don't know where their heads are at.
I
It's
like the
probably
big guy.
to
What was his name? Archie Benson when he come on. He looked impressive. I know
yeah.
it was against the championship side, but he looked decent, to be fair.
Yeah, but I'm not sure his role is he's going to ever be an 8, really. But he does look at talent. I mean, I think the Samoan could be a good development player once exposed him to this level, see how he goes, and then whilst maybe you get him at quite a bit less than you're paying Gus, and then it gives you the opportunity to put Logan as a big part of your squad there as well. So I think that sounds really good. It's one of those things, we say we're a development club. So if we say we're a development club, then let's act like a development club. And Ruben Logan is probably the under the 20s, whatever, under 18s, whatever caps he's got. He's the guy to really give opportunities to develop. And
that's what I mean. Like, they might be looking for someone for all we know about, but even if they are going to find someone, even if it's like, oh, we're going to sign someone maybe on a 2-year contract or whatever, I still think, like you said, it's worth beginning. Well, I say beginning because it's not beginning, but carrying on that development program. Like, I would still love to see people like Logan throughout the season, because he's got to eventually, right? We are losing Gus. We know that's happening.
Don't forget Finn Brown as well. They signed him.
Yep.
Was he from the championship? Wasn't he? He looks pretty decent, but he's still young. He's 22.
There's some really.
He's a flanker again, though. That's the thing.
Is he? He's played.
Yeah.
He has played a bit of 8, but I think he's a 6. He really is a 6.
There are some decent. I'm not saying there's not any decent prospects. It's just, are the decent prospects decent enough for what we're going to need to probably use them for from the beginning of next season, right?
Yes, that's the thing.
Sam Graham cannot start every single match. We don't know how long that injury is going to take to rehab from. It was a ginormous injury. So we may not see him for this whole season, and then you've also very possibly, and then obviously next season he hasn't played a lot of rugby for a long time, so you are going to have to rely on another 8 to be that kind of rotator. So I still think the club is. You're right. We are a development club. We should be really proud of that. We should continue to do that. I just think it may be in their best interest to just have a look at who else maybe is available. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think while looking at it, I think maybe the Samoan could be a good option from that point of view, and then bring along the other development players. But then it allows you to loosen up a bit of cash, and you maybe go and spend that cash in other areas of the squad where you go and put a big offer in for someone like Fasoben, or a big tight end lock who can add some weight to the scrum, because maybe you can turn Ruben Logan into a really good ball carrier and help them do maybe not as good as Gus initially, but do a job. But then spend some of that cash that you were selling in Gus elsewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. But anyway, so I think we've gone through the pack now. The backs probably pick themselves as always.
Do you start Mitchell then?
I mean, you
start Mitchell.
If you're, yes, 100%.
Well, even though he's not that long.
Yeah, he played. What? How long was he on for in the end? 20.
About 35 minutes.
Yeah. That's it. The guy looked in. It's ironic because we talked about how Coles didn't look very sharp considering how long he's not played. Alex was the opposite. It was like he'd never been away. That guy looked sharp and he looked on it. Like, it was actually ridiculous how well he played considering how long he has been out for. Actually, it was.
Can't you? Like, if you start him,
it
doesn't mean you have to play him for 80. Obviously, he'll come off at 60.
I mean, if you start him, I mean, even if you start him at 50 minutes, it's like, right, he's probably had enough. It's not the end of the world, is it? So I'd be starting, and if we assume that Finn can see, then yes, that's the easiest. I think that's the easiest thing in the world with Mitchell and Finn.
Yeah, I agree. You start Finn if you can see, but what happens if he doesn't? What's the options? Is it Ferbs?
You got to play Ferbs.
Yeah, see,
I wouldn't. I know everyone. I know everyone else will, because you guys are fans of him. I still think you need a 10. You need a bona fide 10, and so I would still pick Makepeace Cubitt.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not a good, but he's still young. You're playing Castres, like a massive French side. You need somebody that you saw.
Sure, but
at 10, he's a baller. That not many fly-offs would have done that little chip through where he set himself up for a try.
No, but it's also like what Charles said though. What you miss not having him at 15 is almost bigger in my eyes personally than what you get with him than what he can do at 10. I still think I'd still have. I'm just going to call him GMC now because it's way too annoying to have to say that whole name.
Yeah.
I'd still have him at 10. I think he's played a good few games. He's got experience, and also I actually think being young sometimes works in your favor. He's young and he's playing against Castres. It's like a crazy opportunity for him. I'm not saying that they're going to do that. I just think that I just don't think we're going to play our best with Ferbs at 10.
Here's the thing. I think Ferbs is legitimately our second best fly half, right? He's definitely our second best fly half.
Yep.
But we do not have an alternative to Ferbs who plays the same way as Ferbs at fullback.
No, but you've got Ram that can do just as good a job, but a different type of job. He's brilliant at the high ball. He can run at people. But I know what you're saying. I really rate Ram. Ram's a quality player. He played phenomenally well at fullback when he's played there. He's really good he punches it up as well as Ferbs. It's just he hasn't got the distribution. So it will have the difference of game plan. So I wouldn't be surprised if Finn isn't fit. Like, this is real if, because we're probably assuming he's going to be fit. But if he isn't, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, Ferbs with Ram at the fullback. But part of me agrees with Jess to some extent that GMC at 10 and Ferbs at fullback, because Ferbs is our best player. So to play him in his best position has value. I totally agree. But it won't happen playing your first game in Europe at home. It won't happen. They won't.
Don't forget that.
At 10.
Don't forget that we're not talking about what will happen. It's what is the 15 that we want to see. And I think that GMC can totally hold his own. And I actually think that sometimes it's almost a bit like someone like Pollock in those kind of environments. For all you know, he might completely thrive and be like, "This is awesome." I get to do this.
He played really well.
He did. I'm not dissing the lad. He's got a great future. But you're playing your first game in Europe at home to a big French side. You're going to play the best, most experienced side you could play. I don't think Douse would put a 20. Is he 20 or is he 19?
21, I think.
Is he 21? I don't think he would do that. I want Ferbs at fullback, but he'll be if Finn's not fit. Ferbs starts at 10.
The thing is, you're talking about I wouldn't put someone who's 21 there. Like, is that not how old Finn is? And is Pollock not younger?
There's different levels though. He's come from.
No, they are. I'm not saying he's not a Finn Smith, but I'm also just saying this idea of you can't play at home in a European because you're young. Like,
we're not doing an Alan Hansen saying, "No, you will never win anything." We're not doing that. I just mean there's different levels of 21. Finn has come through Worcester and come to us 2 years ago, and he's up there. Whereas, mate, I can never say his name. What's his name?
Just GMC.
He was he Irish, and he went right. Is it Reading? And we signed him from Reading, and he's been in America, hasn't he?
No, I don't think he had been in America. I think.
Anyway, he hasn't had that experience, whereas Finn has just had, and he's had Dan Bigger to bring him up.
Finn didn't have the experience, agreed, right? But he's GMC is General Motors Company. GMC is legitimately good, I think. And I think if you're going to back him ahead of Charlie Savala, etc., in a Prem game that's just as important, why wouldn't you back him in a Champions Cup game?
Because we've seen that Charlie Savala is a centre. He's not a fly half. Simple as.
Yeah, well, George Furbank's a fullback. It's not a fly half.
That would I would pick GMC. There's not a problem.
I think
Ferbs that can cover.
I think I'm not saying that Ferbs is not a good 10 because I'd be a liar because he is. But I just think, literally, last weekend's game was the perfect example of why he should be playing at fullback and why he should be there. Yes, there were other factors of lots of other moving about that definitely didn't help. But I just think that he's the best. It's not just that he's our best player, but he's the best 15 in the country by a really long way. And I think we even saw that, yes, nobody was that great for England because England weren't that great. But you could see the immediate difference, for example, when they swapped Stewart out for him and just what they missed, what they lacked. I feel like we're the same. I'm not saying we're not a great team with him at 10. It's just we want to be the best team, right? And I don't know. Like you said, I agree.
By putting him at 10.
That analogy you just said, that's like swapping red rum for a donkey. Do you know what I mean? No offense, but it's true. Ferbs is so much better than Stewart on such a level. There's not even comparison. I know what you're saying. I'm not saying what I want. If we haven't got Finn, Douse is playing Ferbs at 10. There's no. We don't matter what he said. He will be.
I honestly think we lose a lot of what makes Furbank amazing by putting him at 10 because he does the role at 10 perfectly. Brings another dimension to that role. It brings something different to what Finn brings, right? Obviously, he's got more pace. It's got a bit more of a ball carrying game, etc. It's a different role for Finn, right? But you in that 10 role, you are very much restricted to operating as a pivot and operating in the realms, operating in a much smaller part of the pitch. You've got to protect the space outside you. You've got to operate a much narrower game plan. Whereas when he's taking the ball at foot 15, it's completely different. He's got to get outside a defender, make those overlaps using his pace and stuff. So whilst he can do the role, is the team best served him doing that role, or is the team best served him doing what makes him world class at 15? That's the thing. You're sort of constricting your best asset by putting him in.
Yeah, I agree with. I still think they're going to do what Simon has said. Probably. I just feel like I think General Motor Company is GMC is. I think he's good enough and strong enough that
I'm not
you could do it.
I don't.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying you're not.
I like
I'm saying you're not. I just
bright future. Him and McFarlane could be the future for Saints because they're both.
But then you're also. It's like you said. It's a development club. What better of an opportunity?
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, it's not going to happen because Finn's going to be fit.
Yeah, I think Finn's. I do genuinely think that Finn probably is going to play.
Right, so let's move on to the centres. Move on to the centres. We've got
centres is hard.
We've got 4 options really. I think the 4 we've got to choose from are Dingwall, Hutchinson, Litchfield, and Freeman.
I think Freeman's going to be back.
Yeah.
So it's whether he'll into the wing and Hendy might be the call there. Like if Hendy's fit.
Yeah, exactly. But then we also do have. Oh my God, what's his name? I've just blanked on who the other winger that we have is, but
Slyton, Seabrook.
Seabrook. That's who I was trying to think of. So it may I don't know. Like you said, maybe it's that if they want Freeman to start and it has to be on the wing, then it possibly will.
I'd have Dingers and Freeman, Slyton, Ram, and Ferbs if Finn's starting. Obviously,
I would have that back. I've talked myself into it. I'd have that back line regardless. Dingwall, Freeman, Slyton, Ram, Furbank.
Yep,
that would be my back line, right? Finn or GMC.
I would agree, but he wouldn't do it. He won't do it in Europe. I can't imagine it. After losing at home, losing our 13-month record, he's got to go out and win this one, hasn't he? I'm not saying he can't cope with it, but I just can't imagine him putting him under that. But we'll see.
That loss last week is a totally irrelevant factor in decision making now, right? You got to pick the team to go out and win the best. I honestly think it's almost easier for a young 10 to come in than it would be for a young 15.
Yeah, because they don't get the I know you.
Just that role of the pivot role is very technical, very 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 crucial, decision making key. But Mitchell makes a lot of our decision making in terms of what we're doing and kicking, etc. So.
GMC is a baller as well. You can see that. He's got skills, so he's not a static 10. He's a game playing 10. So yeah. That's what I mean. You want to watch Finn play like that. It's absolutely phenomenal to be able to watch a player of that standard play on a weekly basis, right? But part of me just talking about it, really is so excited to see GMC against Castres. Just it's so interesting.
I think the centre's actually really really hard because I think. I'd have Freeman at 13. That's a no-brainer. But then that 12 is so hard because Dingers he's phenomenal. But you also just feel like Hutchinson's been so strong. Obviously not last weekend because nobody was. That it almost feels harsh to be like, it's not you. You know what I mean? It's such a hard choice.
It could be a utility sub, couldn't he? Because he could be quite different.
I think that's where he is, right? And
because I think
in my view, he's had 2 poor games in a row. It's very similar to what happened to him before, where he's flying. He's flying. He's looking world class. Goes to Scotland, doesn't get a look in. I don't know whether it knocks his confidence or it changes his
maybe.
He played
to come back in, and I don't think he was good against Cov. That was hard. The conditions were awful, and last week no one was good. But I don't think he's now in the position where he's demanding that that shirt like he.
No, I do think I would still pick Dingers and Freeman. I was just kind of throwing a spanner in the works of just like it still will. There will still be some difficulties there like for them, but no, I still think that that's who you pick. And then I think your wingers, like you said, I think if it's not Slight Home, then you've just lost your mind because that guy is just on an incredible peak that is actually ridiculous. So you've got to pick him.
He just
and
needs
then Ram.
He needs some ET fingers though. Then he might have actually got both of those. Tries
Yeah, they're just slightly longer. Yeah.
I mean, looking
looking
ahead to it, like I know it's different. I know with Slightham is guaranteed. I wouldn't send him to South Africa because we're going to have to rotate.
I'll be completely honest. There's a whole hell of a lot of them I wouldn't bother sending to South Africa.
I do think it depends if we beat Castres. If we lose Castres, then I don't think he'll send hardly anybody to South Africa.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think we've got to build momentum through this tournament, but I think we'll go strong to South Africa. But you've got to rotate those England boys over this next period, and therefore sending a winger to go play in altitude where it's going to be horrendous. Probably not. That's
not the move. Not the move. Yeah. So I would say slight home Ram and Verbs. I mean.
Yeah, and I think it probably leaves us with a bench of, maybe West or Hafar. Right has to be on probably Green. The other lock out of the three.
Yeah.
And Scott Young, Tom James, Rory Hutchinson, and then depending on whether Finn's fit or not, Ram or not, or Hendy or whatever, depends on who's
I think
fit.
or like you said, Seabrook might be a bencher or something like that. Yeah.
Or you go 8-2, Hutchinson covers the whole back line as the 23, and you bring in another forward.
Maybe.
I mean, we're slightly running out of forwards, I think, but Tom Lockett maybe.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh
my God, I completely forgot about him.
The thing is, it's just there's Coles is an international lock, Timo's an international lock, and Chunga's played a lot of minutes and has been quite he's putting his name on that team sheet for performances.
Yeah, I mean he's been a captain twice, so
so Lockett, as good as he is and as much as we love him and there's potential he's got, it's hard for him I think at the moment. But
it also still as well is that injury was a decent length of time, so there's also still just building back up from that element of it as well. So
but
and I know you said I think even with I was gonna say as well, like think about the wings, like even if Hendy is fit, I still think I'd go with Slight Home and Ram. It's nothing against Hendy because that kid is insane, but he's also a really great prospect, isn't he, to bring off of the bench.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's edging Ram at the moment, and I think Ram's phenomenal.
Yeah, very possibly. Yeah, very possibly. Yeah, but it may even be a case of
it might be easier to say to George, make Peter Cubitt, you're not playing, than it is to say to Ram, you're not playing. So then Ram plays,
Yeah, Ram must have played because he said, didn't he, Dallas, at that event, he was like, when he wasn't picked, he was really pissed off at me. So we'll just pick him to be like, I have to now.
The thing is, with Ram, you would literally put £1,000 on him to catch a ball in the air. There's not many people in the Premiership better than him. He would literally go up. You'll see him go up and boom.
Yeah, I've said it before. It's the gymnast in him, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he said that in his interview.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And he definitely, he punches up, from the back as well as Ferbs as well. Like there was a period last year where he was playing 15, maybe Ferbs was with England or he was injured. I can't remember what it was. Or maybe he was playing at 10. I can't remember. But Ram had a good run of games at 15 and he was scoring every week. I really rate him. I think Slight Home, Hendy, Ram, Furbank is just phenomenal as a 4, and whoever misses out is really unlucky because they're class.
But then, you could even argue that it's not even necessarily about luck at this point. It's literally just you've got all these incredible wingers, so the fairest thing is just you rotate.
If it weren't for injury,
I think it's a fair thing. I think
for England. I think if he hadn't been injured, he'd been in the England squad.
Yeah. I agree. I think last year he was at that point when he was challenging.
Yeah, he just
were challenging at points. But I don't think it's a case of fairness. I think it's a case of the reason you have that depth of talent is you've got to earn your spot against really.
Yeah.
better because you can't walk into this team. You've got to challenge them.
Yeah.
But anyway, score predictions.
28-18.
The difficulty I have, guys, is I literally know nothing about Cast. Are they? I mean, are they a kick? Are they a kicking? But are they a kicking side? Will they give us lots of ball to work on with?
They are your stereotypical French team where there's not so much a lot of structure. There's a lot of one-out drives, a lot of forwards taking it, stood still and just barging one way forwards. But they play off the cuff to the sense of that they play what's in front of them.
Okay.
They've got Goodhue's a really good centre who gets the best out of them. But yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go 25-20. I'm just plucking numbers out of my head at this point.
I think we'll play. I think we'll do quite well. I think it will be a tight game to start with, but I think we'll get them off at the end. I think 32-18.
Okay.
I'm
doing the direct. I'm doing the direct opposite of what I did last week, because last week I said that we would get like 40 something and they would get like 20 something, and I couldn't have been more wrong. So I'm going to go conservatively close this time.
Yeah, last week when I looked at that team and I looked at it, and then I watching it in the warm up, and then looking at the team sheet, I was like Gloucester good, and like that Carreras is just like he's the best player on the pitch, I think. I know Finn's amazing, Furbank's amazing, but just pure raw talent. That Carreras is outrageous.
Yeah. And he's only little, isn't he, as well? That's the thing. He's for a little
bit stat.
Height.
Yeah, he's not tall. Yeah.
But yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
It will be down to the forwards, because unfortunately I just think we did with Gloss. I think we may give away a fair few penalties at the scrum. And we got Scottish, was he Welsh referee? Like I looked earlier. I think he's Scottish.
I can't remember.
I know.
Can't remember now. I mean, it depends on how the game goes. I think if we can keep the ball in play and run them, we'll get the benefits at the end. If it is slow, stodgy set piece fixture, then it'll be tight and they could well do us.
The ref is Scottish, and I've never heard of him.
What's his name?
Sam Grove White.
Oh, actually, no, I don't recognise that name. Actually, no.
In fact, I literally don't recognise any of the names of the assistant refs or the TMO. They're all Scottish, though.
I'm sure they'll be great. Yeah.
Happy stay for Monday, guys. Last Saturday, wasn't it? They had yesterday off. Bank holiday.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The old Scots.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks very much.
Okay, I've just seen a photo of the ref and I do recognise him.
Okay. Sure.
That doesn't mean anything.
Anyway, thanks everyone at home for listening. It's been another interesting conversation for sure. And I'm sure it'll be really interesting to see who's starting 10 when the team gets announced on Friday. But it's been really good. Please give us feedback and follow us on social medias. I've been Charles McGilvray. Jess has been Jess. Simon's been Simon. Thank you very much for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye.